We give thanks to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, praying always for you, since we heard of your faith in Christ Jesus and of your love for all the saints, because of the hope which is laid up for you in heaven, of which you heard before in the word of the truth of the gospel, which has come to you, as it has also in all the world, and is bringing forth fruit, as it is also among you since the day you heard and knew the grace of God in truth.
Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure and an honor to have any of our missionaries come in and give a special presentation to us about how things have gone and what's been happening in their areas. We're extremely happy to have this young couple with us today, Justin and Anna Maynard. They're here on what they call furlough. That I think kind of speaks to the way they represent what they're doing over there. They look at that, I think, as full-time, and over here is furlough. Justin and Anna each received degrees from Faulkner University. Both were brought up in the church, Justin at Swearingen, Alabama, and Anna in Dalton, Georgia. Justin is presently working on a master's in Bible from from Bear Valley Institute. This young couple wanted to do something special for the Lord, and when this opportunity in Tanzania arose, they took it. They've now finished their third year of work over there for the School of Ministry that's sponsored by the Bear Valley Institute. They do evangelical work, teaching, as well as agricultural work for the school there to try to make the school self-sustainable. And I think you'll see what marvelous work they've been doing shortly. If you'll take the time to read through their very regular and informative newsletters that we've got in a red folder back here on the missions table, I think you'll see the very wonderful work that they've been doing this year and in prior years. They have gone through some difficult times, and I think you'll see that the Lord prevailed to help them through these difficult times. I think you'll see that their work has certainly done wonderful things for that area. And you'll see numbers that we wish we had here in the number of attendance and at services and Bible schools. It's very impressive. Also, with Justin and Anna today, we're happy that they brought Justin's mom and dad, who I very easily remember their names as Jill and Bill from On the Hill. They go to Swearingen, and that's the way I can always remember their names. Very wonderful people, as well as their grandmother, Geraldine. So we're very happy to have Justin speak with us about the work in Tanzania today.
Thank you very much. We're happy to be with you today. We always enjoy the opportunity to come here. We have some very good friends here and some loved ones that we consider like family. And so we always love the opportunity to come and visit and to be with the church here. We would like to thank y'all for the support and the help, the Facebook messages, the prayers, and the monetary things that you do to allow us to be over there and do what we truly love to do with our lives, and that's working in Arusha, Tanzania. In the picture here is the guys that I get to work with every day. This is the future of the project. These are the guys that I work very closely with, that I've worked hard to train, and who are now taking over the project. This next year will actually be our last year that we've committed to this work, to the farming project there specifically. And through some reluctance, we've been trying to hand more and more responsibilities over to let them do some things and start making some mistakes and working through some of the problems. Real fast before we get into the farming stuff, just a quick recap of what we do in case you're new or in case you forgot. We work with the Andrew Conley School of Preaching. It's a Bear Valley school in Arusha, Tanzania. This school has been there for several years now. This year particularly we have around 36 students that are graduating. We have students from, of course, from Tanzania, from Kenya. We have several from South Sudan this year, some from Ethiopia. So we have guys from all over who are coming here to get a degree in 2 years that's through the Bear Valley Institute in Colorado. And so this school has done a great work to help spread the gospel, not just in Tanzania, but all over East Africa. So we were approached about coming and helping with a farming project that would then lead to some self-sustainability for the school. This is a pretty big operation. It's a pretty big budget, so we were asked to come help and to work on growing some food and things to help with some of the budget issues with the school. That escalated into a lot bigger project than what we initially had thought, and now we run a lot bigger operation. So we're trying to reach the point to where we're paying for all this and supplementing some stuff back into the school as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that later. So in our transition, these are the guys that we have been training. I don't know if there's a pointer. The guy in the middle here is Augustine. He is our farm manager. He's ultimately going to take my place. He's the guy that we've been training to run the whole entire farm, to look over all the operations and everything from the day to day, to make sure everyone's doing the job, to make sure all the things are being taken care of. So he's a great guy. He's probably my best friend over there. We do everything together. We're together probably more than I'm with my wife. We're together from sun up until dark, and then I come home for a little while and go to sleep, and I get back up and meet him again in the morning. And so we're always together. He's a great guy, really smart, getting really good at doing things and to coming up with the ideas and making sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So he's a great guy. We fully believe 100% that he can take over and run this thing. As you move across the board, the guy in the tie-dye shirt is in charge of our chickens. He's able to, his name is Roderick, he's able to handle all the medicine, all the feed, make sure everything's clean. He's very well trained and very particular about his job with the chickens. As you move across, is Jimsy. Jimsy's in charge of our shamba, or our garden area. He's learned about the crop rotations and the things we do in our raised beds, so to make sure we have greens year-round for the students, and everything, keeps everything clean. This is our cow guy. He's been well-trained and knows about keeping the cows clean, washing his hands, keeping the milk clean so the cows don't get mastitis and all that stuff from the germs and stuff. These are well-trained guys. We'll talk about him in a minute. His name's Ishmael. And this guy is Kashumba. He actually works for Healing Hands International. He uses our farm and things to teach seminars and stuff about sustainable farming, invites people from the communities. He goes out to other churches as well and puts in raised beds for families and for churches and for other organizations like orphanages and schools and things. So this is a team of guys that I'm privileged to work with every day. We truly believe that as we step away from this next year, that these guys will be able to handle this and run this. And we're grateful that God blessed us with such a wonderful group of guys who have really dedicated themselves and worked hard to learn these things. This year, we really tried to focus on finding some problems. We wanted to look in real deep into what we were doing to make sure that there was nothing that would come up later that could cause issues in the work. So we started looking into each project, seeing how much money it made, how much money it didn't make, how much it was costing us. And one of our problem areas was the broilers. If you look at the first house here is what we started with. If you notice, there's 2 doors, so there was 2 big rooms. What we were doing was growing out about 400 chickens in each room. We're going 400, and then once they grew out next, we're starting 400 more. The school was taking about 150 of those, and then we were having a hard time selling the rest. The problem there is there's no refrigeration, so everything is needed right then, and it's hard to find a buyer immediately for 100 or 250 chicks. So what we decided to do was to split this into 4 rooms. So there's 4 small rooms now, and what we've done is we have a buyer who will buy 150 from us a week, and we grow out 200 chickens every week. So we'll start 200 this week, and next week we'll start 200 more, and the next week 200 more, and the next week 200 more. And by the time we start that, the 4 weeks we're killing the first ones that we started and then replacing them. So now we have a constant buyer who's able to buy from us and keep this project running. We're actually making money. And so it's a lot easier for us to give 50 to the school, and that helps with the freezer problem and keeping the fresh problem. And then the other, we already have a buyer lined up who can buy that smaller amount of number and sell it. So this is a change that we made with the project going from something that was not really making any money, actually was costing us money, to now that we're actually making money on this project. One of the problems that we noticed, and as you've seen probably in my reports, a lot of things happened very fast with this work. We went from having nothing to a lot very quick. So we tried to kind of pat the brakes a little bit and go back and analyze and go back and view some of these projects to really make sure that they truly are sustainable. And this was one of our problem areas that I hope now that we've been able to address. It's up and running pretty smoothly. And we actually had another problem this year with the corn. We were blessed this year to have fall worms move into our area. They started from South America. They got blown over in a storm. I think they moved into South Africa 2 years ago, and I think that's right. I could be lying. If I am, I'm sorry. I repent of that. But they've slowly moved their way up, and they moved into our area this year. So we had to, luckily we're friends with some big farmers next to us. They have a huge land that they're farming. We're actually over there one day drinking coffee and talking with them about some different things. And they mentioned to us that you better go check your crop, because our guys noticed that we had some fall worms move in. And he said, that's new to this area, no one knows about it. And so we went back to the farm, and sure enough, we had fall worms. And so we went back to him, and he helped us out with the chemicals and what we needed to spray. And so we spent a lot of time teaching the guys about spraying, how to spray properly, how to use precaution when mixing chemicals. So this was all new stuff for them. We don't like to use chemicals, but with the fall worms, with the army worms, there's no other choice. If they move into the crop, they'll devastate your whole crop, and you won't get anything. And so we trained them how to properly use chemicals safely. If you notice, we're using backpack sprayers. We don't have big sprayers that we go out. So this picture is actually a good one. It was nice. The third time we had to spray, it was during some torrential downpours. It rained a lot. It finally got a break. And we actually had to take our shoes off, and we're walking in the mud, because every time you stepped, you would go down to your knees. So it took almost 2 or 3 days to spray these fields the third time. And we were very, very muddy and pretty tired at the end. But so they've been trained in this. They understand. We've made them contacts with the people who sell the chemicals. We've actually bought a bunch getting ready for next year already. So they're prepared for this. They understand how to mix it, understand how to use it safely. And so I'm glad that happened while we were there. We could teach those things as well. Another problem we experienced this year was some torrential downpours. We got more rain this year than we've got the last 3 years that we've been there. So we got a lot of rain. You can see here, this is actually a picture of our raised beds, and the water is up over the raised beds and then over the top of some of the plants as well. There's been a new road put in our property that separated some of our fields. It rained so hard it washed out that road, and then actually washed out part of one of our other fields. And so we've done some work on the property. I was actually doing this right before we left. So a week before we flew here, we were out digging ditches by hand, putting in these trenches so we can get the water out. So what we've done is we run trenches all the way across our property to make sure that this flooding doesn't happen again. We put in a culvert up under the road and then trenched it the rest of the way all the way out of the property. So hopefully this year when we get the rains, we'll be able to sustain, not have it standing and washing away our crops. So this year we tried to do something different. We started rotating our crops. Previously we've been growing corn, so we introduced beans into our crops. Unfortunately, we planted the beans on the field that flooded, and so we lost the bottom half of the field, but we're able to harvest in the top half of the field. So the beans did very good in the top half where it didn't get washed away by the floods. But hopefully we remedied that problem with having the trenches or the ditches put in. And so the plan is to keep rotating beans in one field and planting corn in the other 3, and just rotate it in that direction so that every field gets a break every now and then as we move through. And so this year we've already picked out which field the beans will go in, and we'll plant the others in corn. We still had a pretty good corn harvest despite that. Nothing like we had the year before. Right now in storage we still have around 86 bags of corn. That's over the 2 years of harvest. We still have over 86 bags. And so the corn is still there for the school for the next 3 or 4 years, even if we don't do any more farming at all. And so we've done some things. Hopefully this will help in the future with some of the problems that we've had with the bugs and with the flooding as well. This is our new cow. If you remember last year I told the story about how when I fed our old bull, I bent over and he hit me in the back, and then I stood on my feet, and then he come at me again and I actually jumped on his head and rode him around the little area a little while. Then he threw me off and then started jumping on me. Well, we got rid of him. He needed to go. Yeah, he actually tasted good. he was used at the school for quite a while. He's a big bull. But that was a happy day for me to get revenge. I know I shouldn't want to have revenge on people, but he deserved what he got. So this is our new bull. He has it's kind of a cool story. One of the groups that come over, a young boy, he's 10 years old. His father had him raise his own money to come over to do mission work. And so he was doing small jobs and washing cars and cleaning up people's yards, and people would give him money for doing these jobs. There's even one mean man that made him sit there and sing Rocky Top while he videoed him and then posted it on social media. And so people paid him to do all kinds of things for them. And so he raised his own money and was able to actually raise enough to pay for his own way and have a little extra for some project. And he asked us, like, was something we could do, and we mentioned that, we needed a new bull. We just killed ours. And so he gave us the money. We went out and bought a bull and brought it back while he was there. And so this bull was purchased by a 10-year-old boy who raised his own funds to come over. So it's a pretty cool story. The bull's name is Joe Jr. He's actually named after my brother-in-law, who's this little boy's best friend. And so this is Joe Jr. here. He's our new bull. He's about a year old in this picture. He's a Holstein. And so we're looking forward to continue to raising the herd. Right now we have 14 cows and then our heifers. And on top of that, we have 2 small bulls that will raise for meat, and then the new bull that we just purchased. So the herd's getting bigger through having babies and raising them. And so the milk project's going great still. This is still going very, very good. We're still cutting the corn, running it through wood chippers, mixing it with molasses and everything to feed during the dry season. So the cow project is going very, very good. This is something new that we had right at the we kind of got it, and then I came here, so I had to we didn't have time to really get into the greenhouse. One of the problems in East Africa is there's this bug moving in that's eating all the tomato plants. Some scientists are actually saying within the next 10 years or so, East Africa or Africa will not even be able to grow tomatoes at all. They're working now to find some kind of spray. They've tried hormones. They tried a lot of different things to kill this bug or to capture this bug and keep it out of the plants, but so far they have not been successful. We've actually met several scientists from the States and from Europe and other places that are over there doing research on this very specific bug. And we've ran into them in town and talked to them, a few of them. So it's pretty interesting if you're interested in that kind of stuff. And so what we've done is put in a greenhouse where we're growing our tomatoes. So when we got back, we planted the corn and the beans, the rain started to fall, and this project kind of got neglected because of the downpours that we had. It was almost impossible to get in the greenhouse because it was underwater for almost 3 months. And so after all the rains cleared out, after we got everything settled and fixed, we went back in. We've put raised beds in the greenhouse. We've run drip lines. So actually now we can water from the outside. We don't have to go in and out of the greenhouse. One of the hardest things for me is getting them to shut the door once they go inside the greenhouse. They do not like to shut the door. And so that's been a big challenge. So this thing is to keep bugs out, but every time they go in, they want to leave the door open and just walk in and do things, and then come back out, and then they shut it. And so we've remedied that, so they don't even have to go in there now except to, when we're spraying for fertilizer and different things like that. These seeds are actually, we have a friend, he's an Israeli guy who works at a company there who got these for us. They're a special hybrid breed that is from Israel. There's stalks on them, get about this big around. They get about 7 feet tall. Well, the guys should have already put strings in this greenhouse and they'll grow up on the strings. The ones that he showed us, each plant had about in between 20 and 30 huge tomatoes on each one. So hopefully these will be able to come up and grow good and do well in our soil. So we're waiting to see. Hopefully this will work. After all the rains, everything, there were a few holes we went through, patched up all the holes in the greenhouse, got everything finished and fixed. So I'm really interested when I get back to see how these tomato plants are doing. But this is the picture right before we left. I showed them how to plant them in the house, get them started. Then we showed them how to replant them, taught them about the fertilizers and different things that we're using on these. So I'm interested to see how this project works and if it's able to keep the bugs out so we can actually have some tomatoes there. So I'm excited to get back and see how this is doing. A year ago today, this just popped up on our Facebook. We planted these trees. We had a group come over and help plant these. My brother-in-law was part of that group. He's an horticulturist. We planted around 200 fruit trees. So this is them a year later. You can see we're already starting to get some mango fruit. The banana trees are all up real tall. Hopefully within this time next year, it usually takes 2 years for bananas to start to produce. So hopefully about this time next year, we'll have a bunch of fruit and things. So our orchard is doing really, really well. Everything's coming up, growing good. We have the tank that we're watering with, so all this is going good. This continues to grow. This is something that a church paid for this year. We were able to get a chainsaw for the farm. Now, it came a little late. We're through cutting all the trees down using a knife, but we do have a chainsaw there now in case any other trees grow up in our way. But this was very, very useful. We had this huge stack of trees that we had cut and we were unable to use. There was actually, if you look at the knife sitting behind the chainsaw, that's what we were using to cut the trees down. And so a guy, every time they were cooking outside, any time that there were seminars and things, he was taking that, chopping off little pieces from those trees, and then taking it and using it to cook on the fire. So when we had the chainsaw, it took us about a week to cut up all the wood, and you can see the stack of wood there. That's in Africa, or in Tanzania, that's about $2,000 worth of wood. Wood there is very scarce. The government doesn't like you to use it, so it's very, very expensive. They're trying to push everyone to use gas and not to waste their timber. And so we were able to cut up a lot of wood in a short amount of time. That wood has been used for the outside cooking. They cook outside at the school when they're making maconde. Also, we had seminars at the school, several seminars. The campaigns this year were at the church near the school, so all this wood was used and saved money during all these things as well. So we're super excited about having this. The guy behind the guy cutting, Augustine, was probably the most excited guy I've ever seen over having a chainsaw. He was running around thanking me over and over because he was the one having to go and cut the tree limbs up whenever they needed him to cook with. So he was super excited to have this. In the States, running a chainsaw all day is not something we would consider as enjoyable. But these guys grabbed hold of that thing and were doing it from daylight to dark, and they were like arguing about who got to run the chainsaw. So it's all about perspective. I guess when you've never seen one of these and it's a new toy, it's actually fun to use. And so they love this thing. And it's a good chainsaw. It's a Stihl. The John Deere place near us actually just got a contract with Stihl, so we're able to buy this thing for about the same thing it costs in the States. So it's been a very, very good piece of equipment to use to cut up the wood and stuff. Okay, this is the newest member of our team, Ishmael. He's a local Christian there. He came through college and was able to find a job, so we decided to hire him. I talked to Bear Valley. I talked to Augustine, our farm manager, and we decided it'd be good to have someone to be our accounting at the farm. If we're going to get serious about this, we need to know what's coming in, what's going out. We need to have someone dedicated to selling and handling the money and doing all these things, keeping records for us. So this is Ishmael. He's doing that currently for us. He's been there for right around two or 3 months now. There's a new missionary family that just moved in, and he's solely working with, not the farm, solely working with Ishmael, helping him to learn the accounting part, helping him to learn all the things. He's also handling all the selling for us, keeping records. And since we've been doing that, we've been able to find out that the farm is actually already covering all the cost. The first 2 months that he figured out the accounting part, I need to use more technical terms, figuring out the accounting, he came up with that we were actually making a little bit of money. We were covering the workers' cost of their pay. We were covering all the costs that the farm was going through and making a little bit of profit. So in 3 years, we've been able to accomplish what we set out to accomplish, as far as the farm is not costing the school anything at this point. And so we're very happy with the way it's going. We hope now this next year to maybe look into one more project or something, try to tweak a few more things to start making a little more money, to be able to add some money back into the budget. But at least now, after 3 years, the farm is self-sufficient on its own. We're able to provide for the school and cover all our costs on top of that. So the farm is running free of charge right now, and also providing a lot of food for the school, the greens, the lemongrass for the tea, the meat, the milk, and all these things for the school. So everything has been going very good. The Lord definitely has blessed this work and blessed us with some great guys who are really enthusiastic and really hardworking and dedicated to this. So we're super excited that we've been able to work with these guys the past few years. Some things, outside the farm that we've been doing, kind of our motto is the same in our evangelism work as it is in our farming project. Everything we do, we're trying to train others to take our place, or to train others so they can do things on their own. One of the things that Anna has done with the women at Kisongo is she's went in and has trained 4 teachers now who are teaching teaching 2 different classes, 2 different age groups. When we moved there was one class from like the time you were born to you were up in your 20s, and now there's 2 classes for young kids. There's little kids and there's the medium-aged kids, and then there's also now like a teen class. But she has trained 4 teachers who are now doing all the teaching for the small kids, and she's been doing the same thing I've been doing with the farm. Trying to slowly work herself out of doing less and less. At first, her sister was teaching when she was there with us. Now these ladies are teaching, and she was providing the material for them. Now she's slowly starting to make them develop their own material, slowly not giving them coloring sheets and different things, but making them come up with ideas how to teach the thing, act it out, and different things as well. There's also another, the husband of the wife of the husband that's working with Ishmael is also helping her with that now, teaching some different ways that the ladies can do the things without having any sort of things coming from us or from the Americans. So we're real excited with the church there and have these ladies doing these things. It's taking a lot of hard work. Just like me stepping away from the farm and has been kind of tough, Anna stepping away from giving them materials and things has been tough as well. But we truly believe that if these things are going to work and continue, we've got to slowly move ourselves out of these projects. So these are some pictures of the classes there in Kisongo. Another pretty cool thing that Anna started doing this year, she is teamed up with a daycare that's moved in near us in Kisongo. This is a daycare that focuses mainly on single women. It gives them a place that they can bring their children, leave them there early in the morning, go to work so they can provide for their family, come back in the evening and pick up their kids, and it's done at a cheap cost to them. One of the big problems is that the women there, when they're single, they have no way of keeping their family and doing work at the same time. So these people have come in and put in this daycare to help. So Anna's teamed up with them where she goes once a week and teaches Bible to the kids. One cool thing about this is there is no one there that speaks English. So she has to teach all these classes to these kids in Swahili. And so every day or once a week she gets together the lesson in English. She then texts one of our friends who's a real good translator. He sends back all the lesson plans in Swahili, and she goes in and reads the lesson plans in Swahili to the kids. And they usually have one of the ladies there that tells them what she said in a little bit better Swahili so they can understand it even better. But I think this last time she went, they've been able to. She's speaking good Swahili now, so the nannies just kind of leave her with the kids. And so this has been a fun thing for her. A lot of our kids from our church go to this place, and it's been a cool experience. Anna's still teaching in the local schools. One cool thing about being there, if one kid from your church is at the school, then the government allows you to go and teach Bible. So Anna continuously goes once a week with Paulina, you see in the picture, teaching Bible to the local kids. Now, there's only about 2 kids in this picture that are from our church. So she's teaching around 120 kids in this picture about the Bible, and only 2 of those are members of our church. Because of that, we've been able to bring a lot more in. A lot more kids are coming to our church now. The teaching here is a little different. If you saw this or heard it, it's a lot different. She's actually teaching them the Old Testament, Genesis all the way through. That's what the teachers had asked them to do. There's actually 2 more ladies that usually come with her that walk around with a little stick, and if any of the kids act up during the class, she swats them on the back of the head or something to keep them in line. This is how they keep them in line there. With 120 kids, you got to be a little bit disciplined. But the kids are great. They do really well. Another cool thing is they learn through rote memorization. They're not really taught to critically think, but Anna tells a story about when she was teaching the plagues. She after having the lesson and everything, she asked could they name one plague, and one of the other ladies that came with her said no. And she said she asked them to say the plagues in order and where they're found in the scripture. And so all the kids started citing off the verses and then which plague happened first and second and third all the way through. And she just wanted them to be able to tell her just one of them, name one of them. So they're very capable of learning things in order and rote memorization. They repeat things back. So it's a lot of different style of teaching, but it's cool to get to see. And this has been a huge benefit for our area. She teaches the kids here. Also, there's another man who teaches the older kids. And then because of this, our preacher is now going to the school next to that and teaching the even older kids. And so we have classes going for all the kids in all the school systems right there near us there in Kisongo. Anna's also went out and done several ladies seminars this year. This one here was about 2.5 hours away. They traveled out and was able to study with these women, teaching them about teaching and helping them grow and mature. She's done several of these and went out to the community and done these things. Another project that we're continually doing is that of going out to the local churches once a month and doing children's seminars. We're pleased that this has actually been very successful. We've heard reports now that a lot of these churches that we have visited are now having children's classes of their own. So we're glad this is something that we've been able to do and that's been able to stick. A lot of as we meet at different seminars and stuff, they've been telling me that, now, before you came, we didn't have class, but now we're doing the children's classes and stuff. So we're very excited to hear those things. This one here is a picture of a VBS we held at the church we had there in Kisongo. At the start of this VBS, we had I think the first day was around 150 kids. By the end, on Saturday, there was over 200. We had lost count. And so a lot of the kids in the community are going to the church there. And we think it's a very important thing that they start teaching the kids and start growing them up in this faith and them learning early. Kind of like what you're doing here this afternoon. It's good to build a good foundation and get them excited about coming. And the only way to do that is have classes that are geared towards them, that interest them, and bring them into the church. And so we've been going out teaching the importance of that, and it's been very, very successful. Another thing that I've been a part of that I've kind of really enjoyed that I never would have thought I would is going around and teaching leadership and eldership classes. Last year we were able to work a little bit with the Russia congregation who now have elders in place. They were the first church in the Russia region to have elders, and so far that's gone very, very well. The elders are still there. The church is still doing well. This is some pictures of a seminar we did in Dar es Salaam. So we hopped on a bus. We had to travel about 12 hours by bus, no air conditioning in the hot African sun. The next time we will definitely drive. We thought the bus would be easier, but it was not fun. So we get there. We had a great weekend with this church. This is the Temeki Church in Dar es Salaam. You see there's a lot of people there. Africa is a lot of pomp and circumstance. And so they had like these lights up on me and the cameras going in this little hot building. So that's what you see there with the thing standing there. And so we were able to have a seminar with them for a couple of days. They've now selected 2 men they put in place as elders there in Temeki. So now we have another church in Dar that has elders. And we've also spent a lot of time this year working with the Kisongo church. I spent 6 months teaching leadership, eldership classes at the church. We had an elder from another congregation come in and do a week-long seminar. Now when we left, they have asked the church to turn in names to choose elders. So we ask that you continue to pray for them, that as they're going through this process, that they'll be able to do this and put in place elders. The church that we attend in Kisongo now has over 200 members, and they have men who are eligible. And so as they do this, we ask that you pray with this situation so that they will be able to continue. This is some pictures of evangelism we've done in the region, or in the Kisongo area. This year the campaigns were held at our church. In 2 weeks we had over 60 people baptized. I want you to kind of think about that. Think about if you were the preacher here at Lincoln and some group came in, baptized 60 people in 2 weeks, and then went home. How would you feel? You would probably feel overwhelmed. You'd probably feel like, man, what am I supposed to do? And so we've tried to work on that problem a little bit and put in place some things to help remedy that situation. We never want people to be baptized and come back and report it and end up just being numbers. We want to actually build faithful Christians and to grow the church and let these baptisms grow into strong members of the congregation. So what we do a lot of our time, and especially after the campaign seasons, we spend a lot of time doing follow-up studies with people, helping them mature and to grow. And we've been preaching that and teaching that, and the congregation there at Kisongo has done a very, very good job of that. I'm super excited about the preacher there and the ideas that he's had. He actually went through all the new converts and divided up the strong members of the church and gave each strong member either 3 or 4 new converts, and he called them their babies. And so he told them that every week you need to call them, you need to go visit them, you need to find out how they're doing. And then every Sunday we have a meeting and we report back to him how our children are doing, how our new converts are doing, where they are, how they're doing in the faith, if there's anything that he needs to go during the week and talk to them about, if they're struggling with things. And I think that has been very successful in keeping the new converts at the Kisongo congregation. And so you see some pictures here of some of our new converts, some of the new converts class that we now have at our church. That's them meeting under the tree. And we try to every week to go out and visit these new converts and make sure that they're staying faithful to the church. We do spend time doing evangelism with new members and baptizing people, but we also spend a majority of our time following up with those who have already been baptized, growing them and teaching them about the things. If you can imagine 6 new Christians who know nothing about the church, know nothing really at all about the Bible, it can be kind of chaotic and overwhelming for one man to take care of. And I'm so proud of the church there and their willingness to step out and you spread the wealth kind of and spread the work amongst everybody. And so far it's been very, very successful. Another thing that we've been doing this year, it's been a lot of fun for us, me and my wife, is we wanted to try to build our relationship with the congregation. A lot of times you have this missionary, local kind of feel with things. You're the missionary, you're separate, but we really have grown to love these people, grown to be in real good relationships with these people. So we wanted to take that to the next level. And so we've started every month, we invite 2 or 3 families to our home. We have a big fellowship meal. We have a service together, worship. We sing songs. We have a devo. We pray together, and just to kind of build the morale and grow the strengths and bonds in the church as well. So there's some pictures from some of our get-togethers, and we hope to continue this when we get back. We just wanted the relationship between us and the church there to really feel like a real relationship, not just like we were the missionaries and they were the Africans. We wanted us to all be family together. Well, I think that this has really opened up doors for them to talk to us, to really take us in as one of their own, and we really had a lot of fun getting to do this. And this is our church that we attend. This is the church that we feel like when we're there that we belong to. This is the Kisongo congregation. We spent all 3 years worshiping with this church, growing and with this church. When we first started, this church had about 80 members. Now we're up over 200. During the rainy season or during the dry season, we have so many that we're sitting outside the church building. I know, like in the States, we always say, numbers on Wednesday drop, right? That's when your time drops. In us, it's the season. During the dry season, our church is full. During the rainy season, there's no one there. If you think about it, because when it rains, everyone's walking on foot, and so there's not that many members. But during the dry season, our church is so packed that we're having to sit outside in pews, sit around the building, outside the windows so that we can hear the preacher. And so it's a good problem to have. We're actually in the process now of building a new church. They had the floor laid, they had the walls up, and now they're slowly working up and saving up to build the roof. And so we're excited about that. We ask that you continue to pray for this church as it slowly starts to put elders into place. It's a big deal. There's not a lot of churches doing that. And their willingness to listen and to learn and do what's right has been amazing. And you can see here that the church is growing, and I really think it's that dedication to following up with these Christians and going out and spending time in the community and to grow in these relationships. This is a great group of people. We're blessed to get to work with them, and there's a lot of smart men and women who are really good Christians with this group. And so we're very, very blessed to be able to do this. We ask that you continue to pray for them, and also that you pray for us in our transition as we're trying to figure out where we want to go and what we want to do and where we're going to end up. It's a hard road when you're kind of stuck in limbo and you're waiting on God to show you what you want Him to do. Sometimes as Americans, we want to know what we're doing and know now. We ask that you pray for that as we continue to struggle with where we're going to end up and where we're going to be. But it breaks our heart to have to leave these people. They're good friends of ours now. They're a great relationship that we made. But we truly believe that if this is going to be successful, we've got to slowly step away. So this next year, we'll slowly step away more and more, but still be around to help with any problems. And then the next year, we'll be able to pull out. But I think that these guys will be able to do the work that they've been trained and have been doing for the past few years. And so we're very excited to get to do this. We're very thankful that this is something that we get to do. I thank you for your attention and your listening. So tonight, if say there's anything in your heart that you need prayers for, there's anything that's been bothering you or hindered your relationship with God, the church family is here. We can always pray for that. Or if you've not become a Christian, if there's anything that we can do tonight, please come as we stand and sing.